Alright. So, this is going to be the second any percentage tutorial for Adventure Time Secret of Nameless Kingdom. That's the dumbest sentence I've ever said in my entire life. This game is, it's more advanced than you'd think, but it's nothing special. It's still kind of a meme game, but it is a genuinely good speedrun. So. It's easy. That's one thing. It's not really difficult at all. There are no difficult tricks. I'll be explaining everything that happens, why we do everything we do in the run, as we go through. The run is about 30 minutes long, as you can see from the current world record, and this tutorial will probably be at most an hour. One thing that I'm going to mention right now is that if you're doing a run, you should always have it be the first save state that your run's on. That's just a thing. I'll explain why later. Name yourself 1 or something like that. And we get started. Timing starts when you press yes here. Or if for some reason you decide to not use saves, it's when you select play game. But you should use saves. I will also explain why later. Alright, so time would be starting now. You master this dialogue. So the whole goal of this section, this Nameless Castle, is we go inside this castle, we grab some things, we get an upgrade, and then we leave. Now this full section can be skipped, but there is a reason why we don't skip it. Press right trigger to use the shield, and just mash the cutscene. That's the only time we really use the shield. Scoot you a little closer. Hopefully you can hear me. Hit that. So to get through this room, we need to kill these skeletons, but we don't do that yet. First, we grab the gold from this chest. Grabbing the gold from this chest is the entire reason why we do this section in the first place. It's literally it. There's some glitches in this run, but you won't be seeing them until we enter the first dungeon. You won't be seeing any glitches until we enter the first dungeon. So everything so far is just regular playing, except quick, I guess. Quick. You know, that I guess. Of course it's Oh, well, I guess there is this. This is a cutscene skip. It skips a bit of dialogue. So in case it wasn't obvious what we do there, it might look like it's a difficult frame-perfect trick. It's not. So when you walk through here and you go up to this guy, Pillman Butler, as soon as you're facing him, you pause, select this, have the text show up, and then close it. Unpause, and then you skip cutscene. It's not frame perfect at all. You actually probably have like a second long window to do it. So now we leave. We have the shield now, but we don't use it. And again, the entire point of doing that section is so we get 20 gold we need. So right now we're supposed to go into the Song Temple, which is to the east, to the right. But first we need to buy something to get there, to get into the Song Temple. Now I'll explain why we particularly need to buy something instead of just going in there. That'll make sense once I explain a certain glitch that's coming up. So we just buy this, and this is the plastic baggie. We're going to be using it throughout the run, and it's also completely necessary to even enter the Song Temple. Like, there's a guy outside the front of the temple who won't let you pass unless you have a plastic bag. We're not going to equip the plastic baggie yet because we don't use it until the second dungeon. And there's another item we'll equip at the same time, so it's a very small optimization to where we equip both of them at the same time. So now we're gonna enter the dungeon. Temple, whatever. There's a lot of walking in this game, but most of it is like not too boring. I guess. Right, yeah, this is the guy I was talking about. Yeah, smash through this text and get through. So this is the first dungeon. Now the thing about dungeons is, well, there's a clear goal at the end of each and every one of them, and the only thing we need to get at the end of every dungeon is the princess. And maybe an upgrade. We do need to get an upgrade from the second temple. Other than that, the one and only goal is to rescue the princess at the end. So, this is where we use the first glitch in the run. So, I'm just going to clear out these worm guys so I can, like, stand still and not die. This isn't something you normally do, by the way. It's incredibly slow to kill these guys. Alright, so, there's a pit here. Now, the way this game works is, during certain animations, in order to allow for things such as falling into a pit, because this is technically a physical space you can't enter, it has to temporarily place you into a no-clip mode. Might be able to see where I'm going with this. So we go down, activate this animation, and select an item. We are now in no-clip mode. In fact, we're in a very specific kind of no-clip mode. We're in animation no-clip mode. That is the name of this glitch. Animation no-clip, or ANC. Now, ANC is interesting because there's a lot of things you can do and also a lot of things you can't do. For one thing, you cannot enter other floors. You cannot exit a dungeon. And the only way to get out of ANC is to enter a loading screen. There is one exception to that, and we'll get to that later. But other than that one exception, you can only leave ANC by a loading screen. Now that loading screen can be dying, entering a new section of a level, saving and exiting, and then reopening, etc. I'm not sure if there's an etc., but okay. So now that we're in no-clip, we can open this chest from underneath. Okay, so now what do we do? Well, we die, so we go back to the beginning and tangent again. We need to do this because we can't change floors in ANC. But, as you'll notice, when we respawn, we still have the key. So now that we have the key, we're still tangible, we have the key, we can open this door, and we can walk down to the basement. Now this door we can't open. We need to open this door. So the key is all the way over to the right. So we gotta go grab it. This is the pig room. These little bastards are completely RNG based. Oh yeah, that is one of the 3 trail mix ingredients. When you pick up one of them for the first time, you get that little text box. It's annoying, it's completely random, and it costs you about a second for each of them. Nothing you can do about it. That was also, just to note, that was a pretty damn good pig room, actually. That was a 2-cycle. 2 cycle is the standard, 1 cycle is God has blessed you and your crops. So we got the key now. That was just a stupid little puzzle there. Pretty easy to figure out. The whole reason we go through the trouble with this is because we need to get an ANC, and you can't just get an ANC anywhere. It needs to be during certain animations. And another one of the animations you can get an ANC off of is climbing the stairs. So now we're going to walk through here. Oh, I should also mention, ANC is not frame perfect at all. You can do it any time during the animation. So long as you are not in control of your character, I guess I should say. The character's Finn. His name is Finn. As long as you're not in control of him and you can't move him for that, like, 1 or 2 second period, you can activate ANC. It's not hard at all. If it looks hard, it isn't. So we grab this upgrade from underneath. This is the grabby hand we're going to be using for the rest of the run. So, This next part, you kind of just got to get a feel for it. You're going to go diagonally upright, and then go right a bit. The thing is, if you go too far up, you'll soft lock when you walk into this room, and if you go too far down, you'll go into the boss room. If you go into the boss room, you can always just walk up. That'll just be a time loss, but if you soft lock, of course, the run's, dead. So this is the first princess. We've rescued her. Luckily, we can rescue her in ANC. And then we respawn at the beginning of the temple. And that is the entirety of Song Temple. Now we have the grabby hand upgrade, which we would have been using throughout that dungeon, but we didn't. We'll be using this actually really soon. Literally like 30 seconds from now. Alright, so the next dungeon is Dream Temple. And in order to enter the Dream Temple, we need an item called Flambeau. It's this little flame guy who can light torches. In order to get Flambeau, we need to trade an item called the Tiny Manicore. The Tiny Manicore is inside an area that can only be accessed by giving a certain character a fart in a bag. The fart in the bag is in the area where the Dream Temple is. So that's a bit of a pain. We'd be going back and forth and back and forth. So, what we do instead is we grab the Tiny Manicore without having to go back and forth at all with an ANC, because you can grab things with the grabby hand in ANC. Thankfully. Walk down here. The Tiny Manicore is right here. We grab him with our grabby hand and put him in a bag. I'm going to trade this for Flambeau. So that saves a lot of time and also saves us a lot of trouble. This is the guy we would have had to give the fart to. Yeah, we had to trade a fart. It's a dumb game. It's a dumb game. The thing about ANC is you can enter area transitions, and also you can enter them at any space. So right down here, that still counts. And as you can see, I am now tangible once again. There's nothing we really need in the mainland anymore, so we're just going to go straight into Dream Kingdom, where the Dream Temple awaits us. Yeah, that's RNG. That was stupid of me. Enemy AI in this game is basically completely random, as far as we know. There's really no way to manipulate it, although luckily there isn't really a situation where we need to manipulate it, except for a certain very specialized, very difficult, and completely unnecessary glitch called Extended Knockback, which I'll touch on when we get there, but just realize it is not even remotely necessary. I don't even do it. I'm the goddamn world record. Alright, so we're gonna go down to the Magic Man's house where he will give us Flambeau for the Tiny Manicore. ANC is the most frequently used glitch in the entire run just because of how much time it saves. It's a huge glitch. It's a total oversight. Just smash through dialogue and you get this. We're not going to equip Flambeau right yet. We're going to do it during the next ANC, which is coming up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Equip these two. Do this. You don't have to equip Flambeau to Y or the baggy to B, but I just find that's just my personal preference. It's not necessarily better to do one over the other, at least I don't think so. So now that we're in ANC, well, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to skip this long-ass section called the caves by going up here, entering a loading transition to the right here, a transition screen to the right here. Immediately go back, and now we're up here without having to do any of that. That's cave skip. In order to enter this dungeon, you need to light these torches, which is why we need the flame guy. And now we are in Dream Temple. The interesting thing about Dream Temple is it's the only dungeon where we don't use ANC. So the first thing we need to do is we need to grab one of these dynamite guys and put him in a bag. So the reason why I'm doing a new tutorial video is because so many new strats have been found. And it's not like a lot of them, but they just save so much time that it'd be terrible for someone to not be using them. And remember, all the glitches in this game are incredibly easy. Except for extended knockback. But we don't use extended knockback. Okay. So we use that dynamite guy to blow up the wall. If that looks risky, it's not. It's completely consistent. We grab this upgrade. This is the gauntlet. It allows us to pull and or push blocks. Heavy blocks. We're going to be using that. So the way this game works, because it was designed by a bunch of fucking morons, I'm kidding. Wait for it, I love you. We're going to pull this box. So we're going to grab this box, and since grabbing the box doesn't test for collision, we're out of bounds now. The thing about being out of bounds is, it's like A and C, except you can only be inside of walls, and you can exit it at any time. Obviously, because you're still tangible, you're just inside the walls. Alright, one thing I should note, you gotta be kind of careful here. You want to be careful your first time doing it. Okay, here. If you went in underneath, like, that area the chest is in, you get soft locked. Like right now, like I am here. This isn't a soft lock, though, because we grab this key and we can walk through the area underneath this door. We go left, we climb these stairs, and we open the door to the boss. This is one of two bosses we actually fight inside the run. We skip the other two. This is Crystal Guardian. I'm not sure if that's his real name, but I haven't bothered to look it up. That's just the name I give him. It's a name Gelly uses too, so decided. Get that guy to activate the boss. So by standing in the upper left-hand corner, we skip the rolling around phases, which are really annoying and do a lot of damage and it's inconsistent, so we skip it. You can grab these crystal blocks early, before they fall if you get it right. There's really not much to comment on what I'm doing in this fight, other than you just gotta do what you see. This entire boss is just a puzzle, so just do what you see, learn the patterns. It's a little bit of memorization, but you know. This isn't optimal, by the way. I made a few mistakes there, but you know. This boss has 4 hits to him, not 3, not 5, 4. Such an imperfect number. 4 hits. What kind of boss is 4 hits? Yeah, there's really no advice for this fight except you just gotta get good. Oh, also, if you take too long, he'll fire missiles. Little missiles, and it wastes a bunch of time. So don't take too long, because you're under pressure here. I got that glitch. This is the strictest one. You gotta be perfect for him to not fire the missiles here. Well, not perfect, but pretty damn near perfect. And that's the final hit. So that is the second boss, and that is 2 out of 4 dungeons completed. Now you may be wondering, why are there 4 dungeons when there's only 3 sisters? Well, you all better get ready for the biggest, most amazing plot twist in the entirety of all history, all written media. Because guess what? The princess who lives in the evil-looking castle and looks evil is, in fact, kind of evil. Hooray. Alright, so with that done, we're going to go into Fear Temple, which is the 3rd temple. We do an A and C here because it's kind of quicker. If you walk to the right too soon here, you'll just kind of walk back. So you gotta make sure you only go there. Fear Temple is the longest temple in the entire game, not counting Nightmare Princess as part of the main temple. Nightmare Princess's fight is 4 minutes long. So that would make Nightmare Castle technically the longest, but consider Nightmare Princess her own thing. So Fear Temple is the longest temple simply because there's a lot of things you gotta do just to ascend floors. It's not like Song Temple where you can just bullshit your habit. So we're going back down to this area, and we're just gonna keep walking down to enter the area in which the Fear Temple is. This is Badlands. It's the most annoying part of the game. Well, that's kind of a lie. Nightmare Princess is probably the most annoying part of this game. Although, this game is just kind of annoying in general, so kind of dumb. That's slow, by the way. You don't kill her. If you ever see me killing an enemy, it's probably slower to do that. But, you know, riskier to not. I don't want to die during this tutorial when I'm not supposed to. There are death whoops, obviously. There's sometimes where I'm going to want to die this one. And believe me, you're going to want to die when you're running this sometimes. Seriously, this game does kind of suck, but run it. It's actually fun. It's kind of fun. So this is Fear Temple. It's got the coolest music. It's got the coolest atmosphere, and it also kind of sucks because it's the toughest. So immediately we do an ANC here. We're going to activate a few things for when we come back here when we're tangible. We're going to activate this. We're going to form the bridge here. Keep walking. We're going to open up this so we can complete the puzzle later. Ooh, that's not good. Ooh, no! Aw, shit. Okay, that's not what you're supposed to do. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. Okay, so you grab this guy. Just gonna make sure I don't die here. You throw this here. So remember how I said whenever you do a transition, when you get a loading screen, your ANC always resets? But there was one exception. This is the exception. Doing that takes pictures. You can enter these little pitfall zones while in ANC and then come out in ANC. It's the only loading transition that happens that way. This was discovered very recently, actually. Like, maybe 2 weeks ago. Now, normally, to get into the basement, we would, well, previously we would have, done all that A and C stuff, and then we would have, we've done all that A and C stuff. We would have death warped. We would have gone to the left. We would have done a box glitch to enter the basement normally, or we would have done an extended knockback. But luckily, we don't have to do that. So you're going to pause as soon as Finn holds up the ring and then close the text box, and you're going to equip the ring to the button that the baggie used to be equipped to, and you're going to save and quit. This is the one point we save and quit in the entire run, because it's actually quicker than death warping. If you do it really quickly. Now we're back at the beginning, we still have the ring. So now we're going to do everything tangible again. Now there's 2 more glitches left to introduce, and one of them is used once, and the other is used 3 times. Oh, okay. this was dumb to me. You have to fire at both of these torches to unlock the door. I don't know why I forgot that. I'm not focusing, really. I'm more focused on explaining things than actually. I'm also not timing this because, fuck, if this PB is just fucking kill me. Oh no, wait, I lied. We actually use one of the glitches 4 times. So, the way that the ring works is it spawns your little pal Jake here. You can't spawn it when you're too close to walls. However, somehow they like messed it up by a few pixels to where if you're just close enough, you can spawn him inside the wall. Or whatever. I got the extended knockback! Okay. What I just got there was something called an extended knockback. It's a very difficult trick to get. Well, not very difficult, but it's the hardest trick in the entire game. I personally don't use it because it's that difficult to me, but I wouldn't say it's possible. So, what happens is, if you get hit and then you activate a cutscene where like everything sort of freezes up, if you get hit and then you activate a cutscene, the knockback will keep sending you in that direction, and you'll just go flying. It's pretty difficult to get consistently, but that's just my opinion. It might actually be easy, and I might just suck at this game. I don't even want to say Mike, because I do. I really suck at this game. I suck at video games in general. So now we do another Jake out of bounds. Huh? That's weird. Go. Now we're just gonna walk up. Skip this boss because we're underneath it. We used to do this thing to where we go into floor 3 and we do all of that, and then after that we found a way to use a box clip to skip that, and then we found a way to use a pitfall ANC to basically skip it, and then I found out you could do a Jake out of bounds underneath the pressure plate. And it's ridiculous because we could have done that the entire time. We spent all our time finding shit on the 3rd floor when we could have just done the Jake out of bounds. Anyways, now Nightmare Princess has taken over the world. Well, not the world, but the kingdom. Everything's dark and shitty. We got one last upgrade to get, and that is the Slamming Hand. We need it to fight Nightmare Princess, and also to enter the dungeon. And to do a lot of things. It's just a generally useful upgrade. That wasn't optimal. Usually you'd hit him with Flammo. Yeah. Okay, guess I'll have to edit that out. For the love of fucking Christ, do they ever just leave me alone? Yes, I get it. You're leaving. I don't care. Okay. She's gonna be so mad. Alright. So we grab this key. I'm just in such a busy mood now. We grab this key, we enter the boss room. You don't even let the boss spawn. It's a skeleton. The whole point of this dungeon is that it's fucking shit. You skip her dialogue, and you slap her in the face. Don't worry, she gave us permission. That's the slamming hand. If you hold the grabby hand, you charge it up and you slam it. if you think that we have low health right now, the answer is yes, we do. Normally, in like normal gameplay, not only would we have 2 more regular hearts, we probably would have ended up collecting some other things too. Alright, so this is the other glitch. Basically, these 2 sections of the level are kind of misaligned, and because entering a transition pushes you through no matter what, we can clip through by just like a little bit. And now we're in here. And now we can enter the dungeon without having to do the stupid quest that gives us the Enchiridion to enter. And now we are in the Nightmare Castle, the final dungeon of the game. Now there's 2 ways to do it. The risky one that's kind of quicker, or the regular one. I'm going to show you the risky one that's kind of quicker. And not the regular one. Because it'd be stupid to do anything else. Alright, so you're going to try and do a Jake out of bounds on here. Go up here, hit that. Here, hit this. Grab this cherry. It's not part of the route, it's just what we do. Hit this. And now we can enter the 2nd floor. Or is it the 3rd floor? I forget. But it's the next floor. It's the floor where the boss room entrance is. You're going to want to be at full health for the final boss because she is a bitch. Like, if you want to compare the difficulty of the entire game, like let's say the entire difficulty of the game is like a 5, Nightmare Princess is an 8 or a 9. Like, comparatively. It's like twice as difficult as anything else in the entire game. That's not saying much because this game isn't all that difficult, but, you know. Right. I'll tell you one thing right now, make sure you equip the baggie and don't leave it equipped to the right. Because if you do, you will regret it. Alright. Nightmare Princess is a very difficult boss in comparison to the rest of the game. She's actually the only really difficult thing about this run. If your run's going to die anywhere, it's going to be here, which kind of sucks, but whatever. The only thing I can say is practice, get good, and just do as I do. Unless I tell you that I messed up, in which case, don't do what I did. Nightmare Princess has a lot to say here, we skip through it because fuck her. The whole point of this fight is to just try and get as many hits as quickly as possible. And I know that's kind of redundant because that's the point of every boss fight, every speedrun, but it is really important here because if you don't do things as quickly as possible, it gets really slow. Like there's no in between. Either you're doing this really quickly or you're slugging through it. I'm gonna get some transition hits here. Hits during the transitions she does. Slam her eye before she can do anything. Then do this little attack pattern. Hit, hit, flambo, hit, hit, flambo, hit. You're gonna hit her 3 times before she stops doing this. So, you're gonna hit her with grab again 3 times before she stops doing this. As long as you do the pattern right. Then that's how it's gonna be. Always good to get some extra transition hits. Every one of her attacks does 2 hearts of damage. Every single one. Except during the final phase where the Fearless do half. So, you guessed right. In this run, you have 2 chances. You have 1 chance to fuck up before you die. Have fun trying this goddamn fight. The good thing about this fight, though, is once you get it, you've basically got it forever. It's not one of those fights you ever forget to do. Like, I didn't run this game for 9 months, and I immediately just got back in this fight. Not to make a cliche comparison, but if you've ever played Undertale and the Genocide route, you know that once you learn Sans' fight, it's really easy. You never forget it. Once you realize that you go around a box around the fucking circle of gaster blasters, you never forget it. It's not optimal what I just did there to have an extra thing here when you do the phase thing. Just, I don't know, watch my sum of best, whatever that is going to be. If I ever get a new best segment on this, just realize that this isn't the perfect fight, okay? So immediately we fire this. This shield in the final phase takes 3 fear lobes, she's got 2 left. If you do not break this shield as quickly as possible, it will cost you 30 seconds. I lost my 28 in my last world record to that. So, take it seriously. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do what I just did. I did it again. I fucking did it again. Because I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, just realize that this tutorial is not an optimal run. It's just a run where I explain things to you. You could honestly just watch the world record and get it, but you know. It's easier to have a tutorial because tutorials are better. Tutorials are fun. They're fun to make, I guess. So you can hit her during these as long as you have Flambeau by lining yourself up with this little flag thing and going up a little bit. That's a consistent setup for this. As long as you remember to do that. You fire diagonally. Other than missing first phase shield destruction, this hasn't been a terrible fight. There we go. Alright, so this is the final part of the run, and it's where you either make or break everything. Don't touch any buttons until you're right here, and then select her.
Henceforth shall the Nightmare King. Sweet. Farewell, Finn and Jake. We'll meet again.
Okay. Timing ends when you close this text box. There we go. And you want to know what the crazy stupid thing is? If I had done this tutorial back when the world record was 40 minutes, I would have just beaten the world record. Alright, so that's the entire run. It's not that long at all, actually. It's 30 minutes long. It's a nice, quick run. I seriously recommend you do it. If you have any questions, you can contact me on Discord or Twitter, maybe, if you want to do things slowly. Seriously though, Discord, and I'll probably respond on Twitter. Also, follow my Twitter and add my own adventures, because it's my writing project. Thank you, everybody, for watching, even though nobody's watching this. And, yeah. This is a fun run. Do it.